was our intention to try to make the most historically accurate Viking movie we possibly could.
The Vikings they were all over. There were so many great stories because it was important that it had the kind of the laconic tone of the old Icelandic sagas.
There's a poetry to the language of this. It almost feels like Beowulf.
I will avenge you, father.
This mantra of, I will avenge you, father, I will save you, mother, I will kill you, Fjolnir. It's a very singular drive.
Revenge is at the core of this story.
Most of these Viking stories are revenge stories, and Amleth was the source material for Shakespeare's Hamlet.
Or, if you're younger, The Lion King.
The predecessor was a Scandinavian legend called Prince Amleth.
Uncle kills dad, steals mom, son goes on revenge.
I will kill you, Fiona!
Everybody knows this. As an audience member, part of you just wants him to get revenge, because that's the way these kinds of stories work. But you do ask questions, who's right and who's wrong?
When I read Rob's first draft of The Northman, I almost cried of joy.
Till that day comes, I will torment the man who made my life a hell.
It felt authentic to the culture, to the people of the time. It had a lot of soul and heart. It was exactly the tone that I was hoping.
What got me fascinated was the rich mythology and poetry. Before I really knew that I wanted to make a Viking movie and I just started to learn about Vikings in general, I just didn't understand how sophisticated the culture was.
It's a very mysterious culture, and I think that fascinates people.
I knew that there could be something beyond just jacked guys cutting each other up with swords.
They had a hierarchy, and they had also a belief and a religious belief.
There is supernatural thought in everyone's everyday life.
The Vikings believed that some people had almost like a spirit animal, and it lived within them. For women, it was often a sea creature, and for men, it could be a fox or a wolf or a bear. To people at the time, it felt like a kind of a normal thing.
You are still a beast, cloaked in man flesh.
That's why I like going into the past, is to try to like get inside people's minds who think differently than me, and then realize I could see how that makes sense to them.
Even though your brother stole my eyes, I see you.
Vikings were very fatalistic.
So there's something in the Norse mythology where three female supernatural characters called the Norns of Fate. They weave this tapestry of each and every individual's life. You have free will, but the Norns already know your fate has been set. And I quite like that image of the huge tapestry of your life, and it's not till the last thread or the very end of it where your life will be completed and revealed.
You cannot escape what fate the Norns have spun.
I think we have an innate curiosity to discover what lies beyond the horizon.
They lived in this world that was very harsh, and life and death were always on the edge.
I don't think I've ever had a stronger connection with the director than I do with Rob.
It's been so wonderful to work with Robert again.
To find a filmmaker who understands the tone, who is familiar with the old Icelandic sagas, familiar with the culture and the history of the Vikings. He basically became a scholar.
I don't do anything that I am not insanely passionate about, because there's just not time in life for it, and it's so hard to make a film anyway.
If anything is even slightly anachronistic, Rob will be like, no.
Robert was in the fitting room with us and was going in detail of the folds, how the trousers was folding when he was moving around in the fitting room.
He will come up and be like, well, that thread they're using is from the 14th century, not the 11th, so we can't use that. So for the look of the movie, that's very reassuring to me. That's what you want when you make a period movie.
When I was a production designer, I always liked working with directors who knew what they wanted.
And he's extremely easy to talk to and articulate, and he'll tell you what he wants, and he'll tell you when, no, that's not what he wants.
That's very helpful. If you know what things are not, choices get eliminated and that path becomes clear.
The approach of trying to do something historically accurate, the great thing for me about it is that everybody knows what we're after. We know that we're after this thing.
But it's just much closer to home and the heart when your director has written the script itself. And that urgency, that is also present here.
And as an actor, you just want to help him realize them as you can in your role.
Look how the Queen's cup grows wet for more men than her king.
It was important to get the audience invested.
I mean, the authenticity of the project is something that's very key to the way that Rob works.
That's down to every detail. The sets, the wardrobe, the costumes, the jewelry, the weapons.
My North Star becomes the historical research. Me and all my collaborators and all the actors know that the goal is this impossible idea of accuracy, so it aligns everybody and makes us united.
It's as close as we can get, knowing what we know today.
One of the challenges is the lack of written information. It's still an oral tradition at the period that this movie is set at, early 10th century.
There's always question marks. I try to go with what academia's overall consensus tends to be about a certain thing.
Everything had to be basically approved by a scholar.
I've been working with museums and with people in the reenactment world, and it has been such a pleasure to be here in this atmosphere of creativity.
Linda and Craig worked with our Vikings historians, just as much as Rob did.
I mean, it's a collaborative art form. Everything is completely intertwined.
The coolest thing about being a production designer is you kind of have to know everything about the world.
I tried to get the architecture right and tried to get the materials right, get the aging of those materials right.
Part of what's great about trying to do this historical accurate is that you don't have to make choices. I don't have to dream about, like, how does this chair express this person's inner state? It's like, no, that's one of the few chairs from such and such burial site, just make it.
I mean, the Viking Age is really difficult. Yeah, it was kind of like handed to me, like, this is what the Viking world is, so this is what you're doing.
Viking architecture, which has no windows, and almost every room has a fire in the middle of the floor.
What they had for buildings was great for them. They're very warm, living like hobbits, just a big fire in the middle, keep everyone warm, no outlet for heat. You want to shoot a movie like represent that accurately. It's not camera or lighting friendly.
At that time, the only light source would have been fire anyway. The choices were to use fire as much as possible.
You have a little window, the real thing would have been this big. We expand it to this much, but still it's 3+ feet thick, so the light doesn't actually, there's no pathway for the light to get in anywhere. So that was, that was the challenge. So it was a lot of just practical stuff that was just dictated by the accuracy of depicting their way of life. It's nice having rules sometimes, we have firelight, we have overcast, and we have sun. That's it, that's what you get.
So that was a challenge, but we worked it out.
You have a lot of people who have passion invested in figuring this stuff out. And so that makes the other people around them more passionate.
It's complicated and it's hard, frustrating at times, but it's the kind of people you want to be in the trenches with and go through something like this with.
To the kingdom of Rapse!
Their design vocabulary is very different from how they carve wood to what they do when they do metal work. It also becomes very different when you see the tapestries.
I mean, there's only one helmet from our period that's been discovered. So you base the helmets around that based on helmets on either side of it.
The research and certainly the fabrications was really fun and difficult.
Normally we have small pieces like this.
And they are literally pieces. There's not one complete garment.
Most of what we know about Viking clothing comes from burials.
Each of the family members would be wearing garments that were embroidered with these various motifs, straight lines, wavy lines, circles, squares, all had different meanings. So the lines are very particular, and we see this in our research.
So reconstruction is a mix of the textile and from wood carving and from jewels, many small figurines. We have the cut and the length of the dress. There's never found a complete dress. We don't know how long it is. We don't know how long the tunic are, except from those iconories.
It's so easy to do a good job as an actor in this movie because the world is so real.
When you arrive and you see these sets that are made with such detail and such care, everything's there. You enter that world and you fold into that world.
Something that was a real joy for me was working with these scholars who I respect eminently, but also to see them take so much pleasure in what we were creating.
So I will say this is the first movie ever made where we can see how the Viking actually looks like. And I would like to import Robert to all museums in Scandinavia because we need him.
It's a proper Viking movie, It's got all those ingredients you expect to have from the Vikings.
I want the average audience member to have their mind blown.
But I hope they felt like they were transported back to the Viking Age.
It might ignite a curiosity about what is really and truly a Viking aesthetic.
My fate has brought me here.
The Northman is a story that everyone can relate to. It's a story about family dynamics. It's a story about love.
It's a really emotional moment. We've shot the movie that I've been dreaming of making for 30 years.
That experience really shows how committed we all are to it. We really did, give up our lives for this.
I will avenge your father.
It's a very powerful thing when people get together and dream together.
I will save you, mother.
We're almost ready to let the long ship sail out into the sunset.
I will kill you if you